Okay, so we move on to the next step, and I've gone ahead and rigged this one up for molding, but I wanted to go through and point out a few things that I think are really, really important. First thing is, and this is totally a preference, I know a lot of builders don't prefer not to build up the trigger. I do what I call a floating block, and if you look real close as I push that down, there's a block that's been cut to match the trigger. And when I mold, this is going to be a pancake style holster. And when I mold the pancake style holsters, I mold them one piece at a time, not both pieces, so that as I'm molding, this can kind of float. So if I'm molding this side and that material is pushing up, I do get a little bit of an imprint around the inside of the trigger guard. I really don't like using too much retention on the initial press. I can go back and put retention in, but it's a lot of times it's very difficult to take retention out without losing different detail. One thing nice about a 1911 is all of these sweeping little curves and angles. The milling work is done in a way that it really adds to the character, the chamfering and beveling around the edges and all that. One thing, if you notice on a 1911, right here at the forward portion above the trigger, there is a little bit of a teardrop, and you can follow my finger as it follows that angle. That is a great retention point. So as it slides in and pops, that holster will pop behind that, and that's one way to keep that from moving back and forth as well. Great little retention. So I like very subtle but strong retention. Things other than just trying to stick it on the trigger guard, and definitely not using, you can see how I've built up that ejection port, kind of a trademark on a lot of my holsters. I use this tip of the spear overlay, and then I've got a small ejection port mold as well over the top part. So I don't even want any part of that ejection port showing. You look down the sight channel, you can see how I don't dowel all the way back. Sometimes, a larger gun, smaller guns it does, but this holster is only going to come to here anyway. The customers usually ask for this to be cut down so that as they draw, they're able to come out of that holster a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker. So that's as far as I need to go anyway. On the opposite side, I did protect that control on that safety. I built up the safety stops right about here, and I built up behind that so that as they go ahead and reholster, they'll come into a larger channel, and then this will eventually taper down to the rest of the controls. Again, very, very tight spring. I'm not worried about that. Many times I will cut away from that as well. Some customers don't want that protected. Some do. I know on the cars, my wife has a car, CW9, and it doesn't have a lot of tension on that mag release. And in turn, it's real easy to drop that out. So I build the holsters to cover that, because that is the part that's up against the body for right-handed shooters. So I'll go ahead and build that up as a protector so that you don't just accidentally drop that mag. So we're ready to go to pressing. I got a couple little pieces of tape I want to build up right over the actual sight itself to ease that, make sure I don't get any intrusion into that part. But next thing you know, we'll be putting it in the mold, and you'll see how this molds out.